Hello, it's Andrew Godsall again. I've been doing a few videos over the last few days, just talking about things that interest me and reading a few bits from my books and talking about some of the ideas behind my books. I did a piece a couple of days ago where I touched on the influence of George Orwell on me. So I thought I'd follow up with something similar. For those of you who don't know, these videos are pretty much unscripted, and I think I say too much actually, so I try and avoid saying sometimes do hesitate. I've got Asperger's syndrome and I'm a bit I'm not always the most confident at presenting myself. So this is the book that I've been doing some stuff about. It's called, you can see it there. I don't know if it'll show up or on video. We'll soon find out when the video is finished. It's called Obsessive Compulsive Asperger, and it's the story of my life and my writing career. Now, there's a chapter called The Lion and the Unicorn, which looks at the early part of my adult life. Now, the Lion and the Unicorn was a book by George Orwell, published during the Second World War. It's an attempt to give Britain political aims as well as obviously the military aim was to win the war and defeat fascism, but the political aim was then to create a better society than the one that Britain had been in the 1930s that had led to the war. And Britain was radicalised. Basically, Orwell set out like a socialist manifesto for the future, and Britain was radicalised by the experiences of the lead up to the war and the war. And the Labour government was elected with a massive majority and delivered the NHS and the welfare state in the post-war years. Obviously, so that was a book I read in the early 1980s. Obviously, one of the others I read was 1984, which I actually read first of all in 1983, and I was very much taken by Orwell's. Some people said it was a prediction. It wasn't a prediction. It was a warning about he saw the trends when he was writing in the late 1940s, trends towards totalitarianism and the threat, what would happen if people weren't careful, and I found that a very powerful novel. So it was the book starts actually with Winston Smith, the central character, writing a diary, even though people basically aren't allowed. There's like the telly screens everywhere, spying on people and making sure that they're not thinking any sort of dangerous, unorthodox political thoughts, and just writing the diary. And it was quite a risky thing for him to do in a novel. Now, at that time, I thought I'd like to write a diary, and I started, first day of 1984, I sat down and wrote a diary entry, and I've been keeping the diary going ever since. It's like 33 years now, and some of the diary entries have actually been used in the book to sort of convey a few of my stories. And I've actually reproduced that first ever diary entry, just flicking through the book as I talk about this, just to see what I wrote at that time. And so I noted sort of the influence of Orwell, obviously the connection with 1984, the novel, but also in some of his journalism. Orwell said a couple of things about diaries. There's a quote here: one way of feeling infallible is not to keep a diary. And then in another piece, he said that it was very important. He felt that if people kept a regular account of their views on things and then refer back to them, if something they thought turned out to be absurd, because they'd written it down at the time they thought it, they wouldn't just forget, they held this opinion. And that's quite an important intellectual exercise, and that's sort of thing that partly motivated me in keeping a diary. It's interesting to look back at things and think, well, that's how I felt at that time. Maybe improve right, or maybe improve wrong about things. But it's quite interesting. If you don't write things at the time, your immediate opinion, then yes, you can forget what you originally said. So, I said, well, I actually wrote in my diary, I proposed to record in this diary a regular account of my activities and also opinions, hopes, fears, predictions, etc. And So, and also that I would at some point, reread the diaries, and I do occasionally dip back into the diaries and look at things like happy memories, or look back at my opinion on big events, because as well as writing about myself, I write about sort of things in the wider world, including sort of politics, which obviously I'm very interested in. So that's just basically the link between reading Orwell and then writing my diary. So hope this has been of some interest, and I'll leave it there for now, and I'm sure we'll be back soon with another video and some more opinions. Thank you. Good night.